Stepping out of the 3D matrix. November 12, 2014. Your persistent memory of human, physical incarnations has limited your consciousness to the habit of only perceiving third-dimensional patterns of light. Hence, expressions of yourself that are calibrated to the higher dimensional grids of Earth's holographic matrix are lost to your physical awareness. Your long habit of placing your attention on the lower vibratory grids of Earth's holographic matrix amplifies the sensations, perceptions, and experiences of your physical self. Therefore, your habitual attachment to the third-dimensional grids overrides your connection to the higher frequency grids. Because your primary attention is on the lower grids, you believe that only the physical world is real. Because of the small, lower frequency perceptual field, your higher dimensional Sirian, Pleiadian and/or Arcturian expressions of self, who projected into many of your physical Earth vessels, is invisible to your 3D perceptions. To experience your entire range of light, you must attach your multidimensional consciousness to the higher frequency grids of Gaia's multidimensional matrix. The first challenge you face is to remember that you are a multidimensional being. Because you are aware of that truth, you can save the experiences of your expanded consciousness onto Gaia's higher frequency holographic grids. In other words, when you save your interdimensional occurrences on Gaia's holographic matrix, they merge with the experiences of other Earthlings who have had similar experiences. Once this group energy is saved, others can connect with this energy field to make interdimensional travel more normal. Also, as more of you remember your interdimensional experiences in your daily life, your memory will connect the higher frequency grids to Gaia's third-fourth dimensional grids. All life on Earth is connected to Gaia's holographic matrix. It is through the shared experience of this matrix that Gaia's inhabitants are moving beyond the limitations of third-dimensional consciousness and into the higher frequencies of reality. At first, these experiences are labeled as dreams or just imagination. However, when these dreams and imaginations are communicated to others via the shared grids, they become more ordinary. As the new normal expands, more and more of humanity feels safe enough to openly share their experiences. Fortunately, the animal, plant and elemental kingdoms live in unity consciousness with Gaia, and naturally embrace her return to multidimensionality. Make sure to ground/save your higher frequency perceptions experiences on all the frequency grids of the hologram. Then, it will be much easier for you to remember your interdimensional experiences in your daily life. In other words, you save your interdimensional experiences in both the hard drive of the planetary matrix and in the software of your physical brain. A great disadvantage of the software of your human brain is that it only spans one lifetime and a few dimensions. In order to access all the dimensions and lives of your full self, you will need to access the hard drive of Gaia's matrix. Gaia's matrix is much like a transporter in that it carries the DNA codes of every inhabitant that transports/bilocates onto her planet. Therefore, through the transporter files of Gaia, you will be able to find all the lives in which you have entered Gaia's evolution, your point of origin for that entrance, and when you logged in and logged out of that incarnation. Most important for your present timeline, you'll be able to retrieve the files for all of your incarnations on Earth. In this manner, you can consolidate all that you learned in your many lives on Earth to collect all the information you have accumulated about what you have learned about planetary ascension. Once your consciousness is fully connected to Earth's multidimensional matrix, you will experience the light of Gaia's information that constantly flows from her planetary light body to your personal light body. To remind you of an Earth expression in which you lived in total unity and unconditional love, I will activate the component of Gaia's matrix in which we first met in the earliest periods of Lemuria. To access this light code, I ask that we unite our consciousness and focus on the base of Gaia's core crystal. When you gather in front of Gaia's huge core crystal, focus your attention on the base of the crystal. Slowly you begin to feel a sense of planetary consciousness that you have never experienced before. At first many pictures of myriad realities come into your awareness, then, suddenly, you are experiencing two realities at once. You are still in the core of the planet standing before the core crystal, while you are also a huge bird. From deep inside your being, you hear, "I am Ka," from the bird flock of Mu. Instantly, you felt the joy of flying above a land that appears to be shades of ochre and gold. The sensation of flying is marvelous beyond words, and the purity and love of that reality is pristine and alive with pure potential. As you listen to Ka'a's story, you also live it. "I am Ka'a," you hear again. "I am from the bird flock of Mu. You likely cannot say my name, nor could I say yours, for we speak only in tones and melodies. I telepathically connect with you so that I can share the vision of my most beloved memory of flying into our golden city in the center of Mu." Of course, our entire world resonated to shades of ochre, gold, bronze and crystal. We of ancient Mu were the first in this rotation of the great galactic cycle to experiment with form. There were many other realities that existed in former cycles, but they are unknown to us during this incarnation. We have come from the One to assist in creating a reality of duality and are joyous to communicate with you. As I look into your mind, I see that the term "we" means many, but to our minds the term "we" means the One. We have no term for individuality. We are the flock. Each of us cares as much for the flock as for the heart that beats within our own chest. Perhaps we feel this way because we all beat to the heart of the sacred egg. We, the bird flock of Mu, are the keepers of the sacred egg. The heart core of our life within this holographic projection Earth is the gestation of the sacred egg. Mu, who is the entire planet to us, continually breathes her sacred force of creation into our sacred egg. It is this force of creation that is used by all the citizens of Mu, as not all of our citizens are of the bird tribe. Before we entered this reality, we experimented with many forms. The concept of form was new to us, for in our true home in the higher vibrations of light, we are pure consciousness. We, the citizens of Mu, came to Mother Earth to initiate a grand experiment of polarities of life and form. We joined this reality knowing that these polarities would become increasingly extreme. We also knew that eventually these polarities would create an appearance of separation. Within our experiment, light was to be gradually split into good/light and bad/dark, and form would be split into the genders of male and female. In the former cycles of the Mother's sojourn around the central sun, there had been many other visitors. Mother Earth has long offered a format for many differing life forms to live and gather experiences. In this manner Earth has prepared herself for her final initiation, the initiation of unconditional love. Unconditional love is the cohesive power of the multiverse and the power of creation. Within the One, only unconditional love and divine creation is known. When we no longer require our manifestation, we simply withdraw our attention and intention so that the creation can gradually, or instantly, cease to exist. We have long been aware of the myriad torsion waves of multidimensional light and unconditional love traveling the multiverse. With the power of attention, observation, and intention, we call for these waves to break into particles of creative potential. Then using our power within of unconditional love, we create the manifestation of our desire by using the raw potential of these particles of light which are composed of love and potential. This new discovery of these torsion waves in your modern day is common knowledge in our land of Mu. It is in this manner that we create forms for our consciousness. We have great fun experimenting with taking many different forms. Just as you experiment by wearing different clothing on your body, we experiment with wearing different forms on our consciousness. The sacred egg, which is the power source for our planet, is far away from the interruptions of the psychic energy of Mu's other inhabitants. In the highest tower of our highest mountain, of which we have few, the Mother's sacred egg lives in constant communication with the Mother's mate, the Father of Light. In this manner, Mother Earth's egg of creative potential remains eternally basked in the unconditional love of her divine complement, Father Light. This constant connection between light spirit and matter form gives us the power to consciously create our forms and fulfill our needs. We, the protectors of the sacred egg, needed a form that could fly, as we were the emissaries between the Mother and the central mountain, and her outer lands and oceans. When we first began our experiment of life in form, every being could easily float up the mountain and into the great temple of completion. However, as the mother became more and more polarized, we had to choose to live within a form of one of her four elements of earth, air, fire or water. Some of us chose to walk the land, others chose to fly the air or swim the sea, and others chose to remain in formless light so that they could serve the element of fire. Gradually, the water beings could not leave the water long enough to travel the great distance up the mountain. The fire beings chose to maintain their flickering, ever-changing forms of light, and those who walked the land could no longer take the time to journey to the temple. Hence, it was the creatures of the air that became the keepers of the sacred egg. We could easily fly from the mountaintop, over the waters and onto the land. We could also converse with the fire creatures. All the beings of the four elements are totally conscious of their form and can easily communicate with all the other beings through telepathy and empathy. As keepers of the sacred egg, we create nests around the top of the mountain, just below the temple, to lay and hatch our own eggs. We only create an egg when we are ready to complete our experience as a member of Mu's reality. When we begin to long to return home to the One to visit our family of spirit, we build a nest and lay our egg. Once we lay our egg, it is instantly fertilized by the flow of the Great Father Spirit that penetrates every molecule of our mountain. We patiently sit on our egg until a being of light desires the experience of our form. Once this being enters our egg, we totally share our consciousness. Through our joint consciousness, our potential replacement travels Mu to learn about the experiences and responsibilities of our bird flock. If the light being decides to take a form on Mu, it hatches into its bird form. The mother bird maintains her own form until her replacement is ready to perform her responsibilities on her own. At this point, the light of the mother bird flashes out of her form, and the form disappears as the light returns to the unity of home. Please understand that there is no birth or death in our reality. Birth means surrounding our light with form, and death means releasing that form back to its elements and returning to the light. Life and death are the same in your day, which to our perception is occurring in the same cosmic now as our reality on Mu. In our reality we only eat light. Hence, there is never a need for food or any elimination of waste products. All form is filled with life and all form communicates with each other, as well as with our spirit self of light. We Lemurians began the cycle which you are now closing. We have come into your awareness to assist you with seeding the mother's core and cornerstone crystals. We have come into you for we are you. We represent the birth of this cycle, and you represent the transmutation of this cycle into its higher expression. We bless you on your journey, for it is much like ours. We are the Alpha and you are the Omega, the beginning and the ending. We began this experiment of polarity, and you are here to close it. Just as we are assisting others to step into the 3D matrix, we will assist you to step out of it. Once that circle is closed, the beginning and the ending will merge into the oneness of now. Once within the now you are free of time and will be returned to the One. I am Ka, blessings on your transmutation. Channeled by Suzanne Lee. Dear readers, I have been preparing The Landing Party, Book 4 of the Pleiadian Perspectives on Ascension for publication. In doing so, I discovered how much I had changed since I finished this book less than a year ago. I remember stating in my multidimensions.com site many times, what is impossible for your ego is simple for your soul. Before I could understand my Trian's oversoul of self, I had to learn more about myself. I don't know when I learned it, or even if I did, but this time I understood that which confused me before. It is always interesting when life forces you to look at the same thing in a different way. Then, we can really see how we have changed. When we change ourselves, we also change our creations. Actually, what I realized is how much wisdom was in that book all along, but my consciousness could not fully perceive it. What I discovered from returning to this book was that everything I wanted was already there. I have posted a few chapters that it took me till now to get, and I will continue to post more of them. Also, we are moving into the new ending. So stay tuned. Sue. SuzanneLeePhD.blogspot.com